Welcome, everybody. Our webinar today is Crisis Selling in the Time of COVID-19, a Black Swan Event, Something We Didn't Expect, Part 2. We did Part 1 2 weeks ago. Part 3 will be 2 weeks from now. It's a moving target because the nature of the market has been changing over time. When we did the first one, we weren't on lockdown. Now we're on lockdown. So this is a moving target. It's going to change as we move forward. Oops, there I am. Move me aside. So safety first is the byword, and then what do you do? And today we're going to add the notion of the slingshot strategy. How are you going to recover? What are you going to do when the market gets better? And we'll draw on the ideas in my book, Innovate Now. Now, why do we set aside time to improve, have a webinar like this? We draw on the ideas in E-Myth, making the distinction between what we do most of the time, which is we work in the business, and on a day like today, we're working on the business, trying to make everything we do more effective. It's a time to be thoughtful. And we know our minds function best when they're open like a parachute, right? Now, for us to succeed, we need to ask ourselves this important question. Are we coachable? Are we humble? Are we self-aware? Can we come down off the throne of habit? Or to use the idea in the book, Good to Great, can we be level 5 leaders? To succeed and get something from a webinar like this, we need to all be open-minded. Admiral Grace Hopper said the most dangerous phrase in the English language is, we've always done it this way. And today we're going to be looking at new ways to do things, right? So at the outset, one we want to avoid is the baby elephant syndrome, learned helplessness. So it's a little bit cruel, but it's a useful metaphor. I don't know if anybody knows how they train elephants. Have you ever seen a keeper at a zoo or at a circus? How does a keeper move 1, 2, 5 elephants at a time? It seems impossible. Well, the elephants are trained to be helpless when they're babies. Now, what does that mean? They drive a stake in the ground, and they tie a rope to it and the rope to the elephant, and the baby elephant is weak and cannot uproot it, and so it learns to fear the rope, and as a result, later in life, the keeper can move 1 or more elephants at a time just with a rope, even though that elephant could, crush a car or knock down a house. So we need to avoid learned helplessness. It's COVID-19. There's nothing we could do. And the strongest way to avoid it is with a do-or-die mindset. Now, in selling, there's 2 basic approaches. Best efforts, do or die. Best efforts, do or die. And what we've learned over time is if you take a best efforts approach in business development, when you're going up against entrenched competition, you're going to fail 100% of the time. We need a do or die approach. So the first idea you might want to consider if you want to sell at this time is apply do or die thinking. And we'll show how some of this manifests itself. Another great idea comes from the book, Measure What Matters. OKRs, objective key results, the simple idea that drives 10 times growth. So if you're looking for a good read during this time, Measure What Matters, fantastic book. We're looking for 10 times growth here. We're looking for ideas that could get us 10 times growth. Keep in mind Edison's aphorism, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So today, we're going to come up with the 1%. Hopefully, you'll get a few good ideas, but don't forget, you're going to have to perspire to implement them. So the first good step in this environment is be aware. And I'm guessing by now, everybody has information like this, but if you don't, send me an email. I'll send you this chart. It also could be good something to send out to your customers. Share information like this webinar. Paul Offit is a vaccine scientist. He spent 25 years developing the vaccine for the rotavirus. He did a fantastic 1-hour webinar on March 17th. There was 66,000 hits to it. I recommend you listen to it. Fantastic alternative view of what's going on right now. So share information with your clients and your prospects. maybe like that webinar. Here's another one. Today at 4 o'clock, there's a discussion with the New Jersey EDH CEO. I'm kind of curious. I'm registered for it. So find information for yourself, but also that might be useful to your clients to keep in touch. And I'm sure if you're not in New York, in New Jersey, in your whatever state you're in, there are probably webinars like this taking place right now. So your first step in selling is safety. Convey your safety plan to your general audience and specific plans to your clients. And I'm guessing most people have done this by now. By the way, I have a colleague who cleans buildings, and wow, is that business oversubscribed? The biggest problem is can't get cleaning chemicals that he needs. Now, what's your next step? The safe move is just wait for people to call you. That's safe. Then you don't want to offend anybody. It's pure CSR, customer service rep. And if they call, you likely have a very special kind of relationship, a trusted advisor relationship. You know, we work so hard to not be seen as self-serving. We work so hard to come out and be seen as a trusted advisor by our clients, don't we? Right? So once you connect, hopefully they call you. Since you're a trusted advisor, it's easier to ask, how can we help in this tough time? And ideally, you're going to bring ideas to the meeting. So once organizations are stable, they'll be receptive to other solutions, issues that were backburnered during the conversion to remote operation. And you know, access is the coin of the realm in selling. If you can't get access, you can't sell. Well, let's assume for a moment they don't call. You could watch for signs they're responding, messages to their constituencies, indications they're stabilizing. Maybe they are open to a call. But if they don't call, if you're facing radio silence, are you doing your client any good, right? Are you doing your client any good by waiting and not responding? Something for you to think about, right? Video, there should be video. I hope you're all getting video. I got a message from somebody saying that they weren't getting video, but that could have been early on. People could see me and they could see my screen. Okay, I'm going to continue. Do we serve customers best by waiting? Let's explore this. You see here from math a function with two peaks, a second best and an optimal. If we put this into a visual metaphor, think of two peaks. And could the prospect be on a false summit? In other words, the prospect's on this hill that you see on the screen looking down. And as a result of doing that, they're not noticing the highest peak nearby, the higher peak of well-being. And the essence of persuasion is the prospect's looking down and we bring them to a higher peak of well-being. And that's how we earn the right to access, with the higher peak of well-being. How do we do it? Type 3 knowledge. There's 3 types of knowledge. Type 1 is what you know, type 2 is what you know you don't know, and type 3 is what you don't realize you don't know. We shine with our clients by developing and using type 3 knowledge. So be thoughtful of a moment. What is it that you know that's type 3 knowledge to your clients, right? Because if you bring them type 3 knowledge, there's a decent chance they're going to give us access when they take care of business, safety, remote, stabilizing. Now, what kind of ideas will you bring? This is a recap from the last session. We did a brainstormer inspired by Francis Bacon's New Organon and the induction worksheet. If anybody's interested in a copy of the induction worksheet, send me an email. Anytime I'm stuck and I need to create new ideas, I use the induction worksheet. And I took one of the prompts from Bacon's New Organon, the idea of looking at moments of transition, like ice going to water. So what would motivate a C-suite executive to talk to you is the operative question. So in times of crisis, your practical ideas on safety, health, decentralizing administration, building trust with customers and employees, improving communications. What else? Building on drawing out the cohesive leadership team, providing stability. Any of your products or services that include the above should be of critical value to any C-suite executive right now. Maybe you're implementing some in your own business that you could use, right? So if the idea is to get access to a C-suite executive, these are ideas that you could help them with that should be valuable to them. If your solutions help organizations transition to remote operation operate remotely, maintain morale culture in remote operation, then executive decision makers will want to hear from you. Another idea is if you're not a trusted advisor yet, if you look at this graph, a picture of the uphill soccer field, where the competitor is at the top and just has to roll the ball downhill, and we're trying to come in on a transaction. Very tough scenario, very tough scenario. But if you come in with the kind of ideas just described, right, you can level the playing field, get access, and close customers. So these ideas can help you level the playing field. Bear in mind, compelling problems remain compelling problems to your customers and prospects. After organizations adapt to the new normal, they will deal with the compelling problems. Now, if the kind of ideas we've discussed are not effective with your regular prospects, you might shift your attention, and perhaps you've done this already, it's just a review, shift to essential industries that are still operating remotely, or those that are operating remotely. What might be some examples? Healthcare, food distribution, frozen foods, defense, accounting services, management consulting, construction, cleaning services, software. This is a short list. I circle construction because I had a first meeting Friday of last week. It was a phone meeting with a prospect who's in the construction business and has got lots of opportunity, but is concerned that their team is not closing enough of them. That's why they reached out to me. So this is an example. I'm in New Jersey, we're on lockdown, and here's a business in New Jersey that contacted me because they're still doing business. There are people out there who are doing business. It's our job to find them. Shift your attention to either essential industries or those that are operating remotely. Where possible, shift your sales and marketing to states that are not entirely shelter in place. I got this list from my person in market research. I did some research in addition, but you'll notice from the time I put the list together to last night, Southern Florida now is on lockdown, Virginia's on lockdown, DC is on lockdown. So this is a moving target. And when we do the next webinar 2 weeks from now, there will be differences in it. Messaging is critical. This is a very powerful message. This is the message I use in my subject line to let people know about this webinar. Safety first, selling in a time of crisis. 3 said, well, that was the last one, and I used it for this one too. This subject line had open rates 20 to 50% above normal and unbelievable on click-throughs. Double, triple, some cases 5 times. So there's a very, very powerful subject line. One of the things we're going to go over next time are a whole bunch of subject lines that pull strong results. Virtual networking, work on developing a virtual network. I'm working on this right now with managing partners of professional firms. Set up go-to meetings, Zoom meetings. Don't just call people on the phone. Set up go-to meetings and Zoom meetings. So it's a phone sales call. Ask for 10 to 15 minutes. 4 to 6 slides, and use your WOW toolbox. This is a great time to harvest from your WOW toolbox. So what's in our WOW toolbox? So this is an example from an accounting company. Hard-hitting messages, visual metaphors, very powerful. Testimonials, strong testimonials from well-known companies. Examples, if you could show them. Great diagnostic questions, risk reduction strategies, all in your WOW toolbox. Now, wows are two-edged swords. If you interact with somebody and you didn't get a wow, you probably need to amp up the presentation. Wasn't strong enough. Yet, with a wow, the second side of the two-edged sword is, what did you harvest? So those are the two sides of the wow, the two-edged sword. Let's look at another wow toolbox. This is a manufacturing company based in New Jersey. So they have hard-hitting questions. They have risk reduction strategies, great testimonials. They have articles they send out like white papers and articles, drip campaign, and they have hard-hitting messaging. And by the way, on the subject of a great question, if you get somebody into a conversation, great question is Asking somebody to tell you the story of their journey. It used to be you had to ask two questions. You used to say, hey, did you always work here in this position? And then you could ask, what was your journey? But now with LinkedIn, you could go onto LinkedIn and you could find out what the journey was, tell them the beginning point, the end point. It's a great bonding move. So if you have any downtime, build your WOW toolbox. Reach out to big fans, trusted advisors, ask for testimonials, ask for introductions. So when you're asking for introductions, go to LinkedIn first, find out who they're connected to, tell them who you want to meet, because introductions, access, coin of the realm. Brief intermezzo, a light moment. I got this one from a contact. In addition to your regular stress of doing your business every day, we have COVID-19 stress. So here was Gertrude quarantined with hubby for 2 weeks and knitting something special for him. So if you're interested, if you want a little humor, a little light touch, send me an email. I'll send this to you. And that's our brief intermezzo. At the same time that you're trying to work with whatever you can right now, you got to prepare for the slingshot. You know, in a slingshot, you step back and it shoots forward. Are you prepared for your slingshot strategy? Are you prepared for the market rebound? What can you do right now? If we warm up the prospect, there's a better chance to move forward. Let's look at the impact of market research. There are 3 parts to the standard sales call. First, how you do your research and warm up the prospect. Then your fact finding. We gave you a step before from fact finding. We'll do more of that in the future. And then finally, how do you manage the opportunity and close the sale? Let's look a little bit at research, shall we? You can get personal clues about your prospect from Facebook. Now, this is a different face on a body, but this is a person who loves Pikachu. This is in Facebook. There are incredible clues about your prospects in Facebook. If you have downtime, do your research. This is a great time to do research. Now, we were doing some work on Anheuser-Busch. This is how their website looked in April 1998. This is how their website looks today. They're committed to innovation. It's a great way to warm somebody up. It's the website upgrade. Give me a call if you'd like to know how to do that. The next one I'm going to show you right now, do a SWOT analysis. This is a SWOT analysis on Anheuser-Busch. And I want to show you briefly how to do this. If you're set up with your library, like this is the front page of my library, I'm looking to do an EBSCO search. Here's the login screen, and I do a search. These are free. These are what are called market line analyses. They would cost you at least $175 if you went to Market Line, and you can get them free through your library. It'll help you prepare for any sales calls now or upcoming sales calls. And it's also the sort of thing that you could give to your customer as a freebie, right? Isn't this a fantastic freebie? Give them the market line analysis, the SWOT analysis on their competition. All right. We've talked in the past about the power of wisdom in the room. Let's do a brainstormer right now. I want you to have some brainstorming to take away. Last time we did the induction worksheet. This time we're going to do something different. Your C-suite customers want to know how to extend their life cycle of their business, right? So how long should a life cycle be? Consider Coca-Cola for a moment. Coca-Cola has been around for over 125 years, right? But it's not the same product. There's been nonstop innovation in the formulation, no cocaine anymore, in the packaging, in the distribution, in the advertising. It's been nonstop innovation, probably thousands or tens of thousands of innovations. How can you show your prospect, your client, how they can innovate to extend their life cycle? So if you look at the picture here, you'll notice that there's a long life cycle and there's a tangency point between shorter life cycles and longer life cycles. What can you do to extend the life cycle of your clients' businesses? C-suite execs will be interested in how you can help them extend their life cycle. Now, I want to do a little brainstormer with you. We're going to start it. We're not going to do it now, but I'm going to give you kind of like an assignment, a takeaway. The challenge customer. I want everybody to be thoughtful right now and think of a challenge customer, somebody you think you are never going to close. If you have a pen and paper down, write it down. Write down the name right now of this challenge customer you're never going to close, right? Now, here's your out-of-box thinking. You're not going to do it now, but you're going to do it later. I want you to come up with one great idea, one great way that you can I got a message here, so I'm going to just close it. Sorry. Come up with one great idea to open up that impossible customer. One great idea to open up that impossible customer. And then encourage everybody in your organization to do the same thing and share all your ideas. It'll be a fantastic brainstorming experiment, right? So think about the challenge customer you're never going to close and one idea to open up that account and then share it. If the fundamentals are off, if the prospect hasn't solved the problem, you still have a vibrant opportunity, right? So let's look at the life cycle. Last major point, let's look at the life cycle of CEO or key executive decision making. It's important to start at the top. Let's say you reach out to a CEO or C-suite executive and they hear what you say, they're kind of interested, but they're not taking any action, right? Well, time goes by, they're unhappy with the results in a department, and they may say to themselves, I'm going to give that executive 6 to 12 months to fix that problem before I take action. Uh-oh, now it's gotten to a point where they're so unhappy, they want coaching as to handle the executive. Finally, I can't coach the executive. I need you to interact with them directly and ultimately to work with their team. So somewhere between steps 3, 4, and 5, a key executive is going from watching this to going into action. And if we didn't have COVID-19, I would have asserted to you that right now going into Q2, there are executives who have had it. They've had it with excuses. They're ready to go into action. So this will give you a little bit of a feel for how executives look at the scenario and when it's time to act. It's between 2 and 3 that they take action. So what might be your key takeaways from today? Customers have needs you could satisfy, use your downtime productively, build your wow toolbox, focus on C-suite needs, do your research, prepare battle plans, prepare for the slingshot recovery, and innovate, innovate, innovate. Self-care is important. Maintain your health, do yoga, meditation, learn, read, discuss, do brainstorming. Well, we know Rome wasn't built in a day, so we've just about come to the end of today's webinar. Any questions, send me an email at andy@urgencybasedselling.net. Our next webinar is going to be on core selling values, so please join us in 2 weeks. Secure better access through your core selling values. Any questions, call me at 201-415-3447. Thanks for joining us. My book has a lot of the ideas. It's available on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. Let me just see if there's a quick question. I don't think so. So with that, I'm going to end our webinar for today. Thanks so much for being with us. Best wishes to you. Be safe. Have any questions, reach out to me. Thanks so much. Bye now.